Fáilte arás chuig an gan éil. Tá mé hééis an Chris seo cinach an son nómh. I'm after picking up this SpareX fan belt. Part number is 488, and that's for the Ferguson 20 petrol TVO and the 35 and Matthew Ferguson 35 petrol and TVO with the standard engine. 80, 85 or 85 millimeter bore, doesn't matter. So if you've followed the videos, you'll have seen that I've adjusted out the dynamo as far as it's going to go on its bracket here. It's right out there, and you can still hear the fan belt making a bit of a slipping sound, and even though that's fully tensioned out there, doesn't take much to turn the water pump and the fan. So if you remember, a couple of months ago I restored a nice Lucas dynamo here, and I was delighted with it. Put it on, took it for a spin to an agricultural show. When I got there, my father had driven it and he said it stopped charging along the way, and this was red hot. And it was red hot because the fan belt was too narrow. It wore the pulley over the years. I bought the tractor with the fan belt on it, and I never, I suppose, suspected it might have been wrong. But anyway, long story short, that got a new fan belt. It's probably after cooking the original Lucas dynamo, so it's another day's work. But anyway, this here is too narrow, I'm fairly sure. When you compare it to this, you can see straight away it's this is a 20 mil, and I don't know exactly what that is, but it's definitely going down too far in the pulley. So this is the best time to fit it, because tá an rad a hór stig sa chahar sta cuiach ar air. So the radiator is getting overhauled, getting recored, and the bonnet's off. So this is the best time to fit it, and to make sure that our dynamo pulley is lining up with our drive pulley on the crank and our water pump. And looking at it here, it's not too bad. So it's not too bad at all. But we're going to line it up. We're going to fit the new fan belt, and we're going to get a straight edge across there and see about getting it lining up perfectly. So I'm just going to make a decision here now. I need a work lamp. Whereas this side of the shed can be a little, it's probably all right. Yeah, it's probably okay. So everything with this, I think, thankfully, is all just kind of half inches. So we're just going to loosen the two bolts underneath the dynamo, and we're going to loosen the bracket on it as well. So half inch in hand, half inches all around. So 1, 2 under here, just on the bracket. Okay, what am I saying? Thinking of the Ferguson FE diesel. These are up here, so we might take off our heat shield. We may as well just make as much space as possible for this. Take off our heat shield. Put the Ferguson FE diesel there. The bracket is, the dynamo sits above the bracket, whereas this sits kind of hanging off it. So there we go, that's that. And it's just a matter now of loosening these. So we'll put our socket in there. I think they're half inches, yeah. Socket in there, spanner in there, and we'll give them a loosen. Okay, and this side here, I think we have to put on our extension, get past the fan belt. That was actually fairly loose, just not too dangerous. Right now it's okay, but it's not ideal at the same time. And now just to loosen our bracket here. Seems to tread into the dynamo casing. Yeah. So we'll loosen them off. I think with this one you nearly have to take off the dynamo, I think, to actually get the fan belt off. I think we'll see now. We might have to. work it all out now in a minute, see if we can get this to cooperate. Okay, we don't. We probably have to with the new fan belt. Oh jeez, these are one of the cheapest parts you can get and the simplest parts, but even with that 20 diesel I was working on there before Christmas, you know, there was problems there with the fan belt as well. It's all chewed up. And new water pump on this. Okay, so let's get our Sparex one here. So it's a good bit wider, right? 20 mil versus, I think I measured that as, wait a minute, was it 14 mil or something? Or, yeah, 14 mil. So it's well off. They say 17 to 20, you know, 17 being the minimum. It is a V slotted pulley, so it can take fairly wide belt. So onto the drive belt, or deuce, put that on first. Okay, now we'll see if that dynamo goes in. I'm not going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if I have to take it off and angle it in to get this on. Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, probably going to have to. It's no big deal. But what it is going to mean, thankfully, I'm going to have great adjustment on that, because if I'm struggling to get it on and it's wider and all of that, it means I'm definitely going to be able to tension this up properly. And it's definitely sitting a lot better in that pulley there and the drive pulley down here. So let's just go and, instead of going and getting grow bars and trying to pry it, let's just go and do it the least damaging way, let's say. Just take off. Might get away with just loosening that. We'll have to take off the back one, I'd say, so that we can just let it swing inwards. This is the patient way. If you aren't patient, you just get a good nail bar or something and lever it onto it. You might end up breaking that and all that. And then you think you're great when you go and buy a new one like I did, and you realise that it's too narrow altogether. So that's why I'm going the patient way this time. The way that's least likely going to damage anything. Oh, you have a screw coming out of this socket here, have I do, yeah. So I'll have to root out something to fix him. That's alright. This is just a little Halford's 1/4 inch. Jesus, that washer is after going flying, but it's just a little Halford's 1/4 inch. Socket. The ratchet set is handy as hell. Oh, I see what else I have to do. It's not like the Ferguson 20 diesel. There's already a bolt around the corner here in the timing case as well. Okay, so that's why the whole thing was a bit solid. And we are after loosening it down a bit. Anyway, we'll just have a... Oh no, that's only in the bracket, not in the dyno. Okay, so there we go. That's an angling around a bit, I think. Might still have to take off the front wheel. This is what I find with some of these. Okay, let's put that back on there, because these are, be looking at it and looking for it. No, that came off there without me expecting it. I have to say one thing about these old Lucas dynamos, boys. They sure are a bit of weight compared to some new ones, like the starters. Yeah, a little bit awkward. I do find that with some of these new fan belts, it's whole handle sometimes when I get them to fit. There's a good bit of stretching needed, and I think a lot of the time that stretching, as you know, probably won't happen until it's on fitted. And you can get a little bar in underneath the dynamo then and give it a wangle. Okay, so that's that one in. Our nut is after falling, so yeah. Oh, nearly went in there, nearly. Yeah. Just a fair bit of tension on it already, lads. Wow. Now, a will tension out of it, of course. Right, I have to go and look for that nut that fell. And I hear it falling, alright. It's not there. Right, so we might go and have a look for that. Loads more. Maybe they're only a half-inch UNC. So we'll have a look for that and I'll start cracking on then. Right. So we found our nut and bolt there. Push this forward. It doesn't want to push forward because the bracket's in the way. Let's have a look here now and see what's going on there. We have to move the bracket. What way did I see it coming the last time? Yeah, it was going behind it. So I might just need to bend out. So we'll move that out of the way altogether. Like so. Let in the bolt. So yeah, these brackets, the brackets on the Ferguson 20s, the Petzer and TVOs, are massive lumps of things. And we're not frightened putting the material into them. The 20 diesel brackets are a lot smaller. Okay, and we're half-inch. So let's give this a little nip, just to literally keep it pulled forward. But already I can see we're going to get a lot more adjustment, just like when I fitted it to the 20 diesel over there. We're going to get a lot more adjustment in the fan belt now. And hopefully that annoying sound of it slipping and all of that will stop as well. It will stop. Sure, it'll have to. Okay. And then on with that, and then on with her. No, then I'm only going to give this a little hand tight nip nearly, that's all. It's just to keep it roughly in place. Okay, that's what we want. Another little nut here, there should be a little, yeah, there's a washer on that as well. We'll just take a look here what's happening. Okay, so that will need to go underneath it anyway. And I should do a bit of persuasion. Yeah, so I'm just going to get a few bars and we're just going to pull him outwards and see. We're just going to get him slowly in position. I wanted just to get a straight edge and just to see that we're, from what I can see here, the dynamo is just back ever so slightly from the rest of the two pulleys, and that will chew your belt a little bit quicker. So we'll get a bar anyway and we'll tighten her up first. Right, so bit of a nail bar, right? And what I do is I just shove up a bit of a rag up under here or around it all together, so you're not making shit of everything. See what way you have to turn it there to get a bit of a tension on it, like so. That should do it. That'll pull it. So line him up. Now I think this goes in behind here. True. It's a little bit strange. Imagine I should go. Unless this bracket's meant to go the other way. I would prefer it going the other way, I think. I would. And I can do that. I don't like the bolt sticking forward. The thread of the bolt sticking forward. So can we take him off? We can. So let's go and correct that now. I'm fairly sure that's wrong. Right, it's only a matter of taking one bolt off. Okay, so on with our extension. And we'll just whip that bracket off. I'll bring you around the front so you can see what's going on here. Just going to drop the camera. And you can see what's happening there. So there's our bracket. I'm going to try and whip that onto the front of that dynamo. Okay, so that's it there. So let's have a play around with this and see, can we get this, okay, to fit a little bit better. Like on the front, we probably can. It's going to be a little bit tight, but I'll go and put a washer or two underneath it if I have to, because I want it right, and I'm pretty sure that bracket probably isn't the correct one anyway, so we're just going to have to work with it. I have to get a longer bolt because I have a little spacer got here now, right? That fits snugly through the bolt. It's a nice new, actually fairly new looking UNF fine thread. So we'll slap that in there and see, does that help line things up a little bit better? We're going in here tall. We need more of the spacer. We actually probably need more of that spacer unless we get it in this way. We'll just have a play around it here and see what we can do. No, that's all I wanted. It's to be going in that way. So slap that on there with its spring washer, and we'll drive that home. That'll be another job done, hopefully. Yeah, there's very little adjustment in the dynamos, and I find you always nearly have to pull them forward a bit. You're only going to ruin bearings and all of that unless that fan belt is pulling nice and straight. So that's lining up lovely. It's not getting in the way of the adjustment. That's what we want. Okay. And I think there's a UNC coarse thread one here that goes in there. So we'll try and line him up first here and get him in. He has to go in there, and then the bracket should follow us then wherever we drag the dynamo. Takes a second just to get everything lined up. Not a whole lot of space there, exactly there now with the fan belt. To get her biting. A bit of a wangle and she should go, yeah. So we'll just drive him in a little bit. Okay, make sure it's still able to pull its way, pull upwards, okay, lovely. That's that, so we'll put our bar back in. So we'll put our bar back in, we're going to pull upwards and outwards, and at the same time then when we're happy, there's a bit of tension on it there, we're just going to give it a nip. Of course, it happens to just be in the way of the fan belt. That's okay. Okay, so that's good enough just for checking to see. So I'm going to get a straight edge here and see what's happening. So straight edge across the drive pulley here. And there's a good 3 mil there, needs to come forward. Right, so what can we do with that? Is there any parts of the bracket that's stopping it going forward? Apart from just there. I don't want to go grinding away. So I'm going to loosen brackets. Let me see, I have to go forward. So there is one bolt in there. That's the thing with this compared to the 20Ds one. This kind of locates everything really, like. So we do have to loosen him off if we want this to come forward. Loosen him off a bit anyway. Okay, that'll let that come forward. I'm just going to loosen the 2 bolts here going into the block. 1 and 2. Okay. There we go. It's a bit angling a bit there anyway. Let's give him a nip and see. Quick nip. See if it's any better now. Okay, it is. We're down now to fairly good. Okay. We're down now to fairly right. It's just about rubbing there. We're down to about mil. Okay. We're fairly right. Just going to loosen this out ever so slightly. So let's see if I can get. I think some of that adjustment could be in the actual this up here now. I think actually that's what I'll do. So we'll keep that punch forward, tighten them up. May as well. It's going to be a new bearing going into the front of this and a bushing, so in the back, so may as well try and have it looking like it's going to be turning fairly true and straight and all of that for a fan belt, for a bushing and for the bearing. Because this thing was making a bit of a, you can actually hear this over the engine. Not over the exhaust, that's loud, but over the engine. So we'll just have a little play around with this and see can we get much of a twist. So from what I could see, we might loosen off him again. What I could see what's happening was it's just twisted a little bit. The arse is coming out further. We'll loosen off that lad and that'll give us that. So I said that was, we need to get that front out. So we'll put our bar in. Now this is probably going a bit too much, but you know what? When it's clearly not running true, straight and all of that, I'm going to put a bit of pressure down on this here without breaking my governor spring. I just want to keep that nipped there. I'm going to tighten that with a bit of pressure on it and hopefully pull the dynamo outwards. Even like that might do it. It did look to me like it was just going a bit, it was crooked in the bracket. And there is obviously a couple of, you know, to be a small amount of space in there around the bolt. But if the back one's off as well, quarter of a mil back there tilted out ends up having a big effect here, like. So that's why we'll do this, see do we get a better result. Yeah, so it looks a lot straighter across it straight away now. A lot, the gap is a lot better. So we can fine tune that from the back bolt now. Let me see now. I'm just going to get a nice I could do it a longer. Did have a longer ruler, but it okay. So what we need to do now is push the back in and give it a nip, I think. Okay. I'm trying to think. There's probably no point having too much tension on the bloody thing. No, there isn't. Okay, let's line them up. So I think this will help a lot now. We'll know when we do the final tightening on it. So I was saying push inwards and tighten. I don't want to go crazy just yet because I do have to loosen things off a little bit to get it to tighten on the belt. Yeah, that is a lot better now. Yeah, more kind of an equal gap there. So we'll do is we'll tension it now properly. Move the camera around the front just to a bit of change of scenery. We'll just put a bit of tension in it now. As you can see there, it's not tensioned at all. There's no point having tension doing that. And we'll see how it looks then. Yeah, it's a lot better now. If I'm being very, very, very fussy, I would want to come forward another slight bit. I don't think we're going to go getting it out of it. And this pulley doesn't have a thicker wall as that pulley. It's definitely fairly right there, I'd say. Okay, only thing is, its arse is higher than its head, so it does need to come, now it needs to come back up. So what we'll do is, we'll give that adjustment, we can make that adjustment, hopefully on this. Because there will be adjustment on this as well. Very slight amount, but there will be adjustment on it. So just going to chance it. You'll probably nearly see it in the video there. It's definitely angled. The bottom is higher than the front. So let's give it a quick lift here if we can. Yeah. No point putting a vert level or anything like that on it now, let's be honest, because the tractor probably isn't level anyway. But it looks a little bit better already straight away. Yeah, I could go a little bit more as well if I wanted, if it will. So we're going the extra mile here just to, as I said, hopefully we'll be getting a nice bearing put in this and bushing. So I want it to be as good as possible, that's all. Now, what I could do here is use my third hand. I might put my hobnail up in the back there. Try a bit of pressure on that. Downwards, lift the front. And tighten. It needs to be twisted nearly. But when I'm tightening it, I notice it comes forward again. Follows the bolt. Strain, you know. There's a washer on. That's where you'd want another person hold it steady. It's not far off now at all. At least we have that adjustment in it. I think that is probably, I'll watch to make sure it doesn't move. No, that looks fairly good to me. Oh, we'll just bring her from the line there. You can nearly see it. It's just about right. You can just see this sticking out ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. Okay. Worth doing though. Worth taking that time. It's worth taking the time. Now if we tighten in this bolt down the tiny cover here, we'll see. Another thing we'll see now is we're ready to turn the engine with the water pump for the first time ever. Tightening this is going to make a difference as well. So we'll see what that did. It could have twisted things a bit. It should make a difference anyway, you'd imagine. Okay. Big spray head is what you want here, big ruler. So it's a little bit off, the region of about 2 mil off, I'd say still. Maybe tighten it there at the front, probably pull it back. That's the only thing. And you can understand it was definitely probably going to do that anyway. Right, we might need to put a washer behind it on the front. If we want to do it right. If we can get one behind it, stop it moving. Yeah, we probably could, yeah. So I'm going to go and pick out a nice tin washer and behind that, we'll do that again. Okay, so we're going about it the long way, but these are probably all issues you're going to run into. So we may as well try and get through them. But next time you're working with a dynamo or an alternator or a fan belt, you might just take that extra few minutes just to see what's going on. See if that fan belt is turning nice and true. So we've loosened all them off. There's a thin little washer here. Try and get it in behind there. Might be a little bit tight yet. Don't know if we're going to be able to get a thinner one. It's fairly bloody thin, like. Okay. So there's tension on the fan belt, so that's no good. That's the last job. See if we can get a bit of a wiggle on it here. Now, this would not be possible without the radiator, so that's why that's why I've decided to go a little bit more with this the measurement here. With the fiddling around with it a bit. It would be fairly awkward now with the radiator in the way, so still a bit awkward. I'd like to do a nice job on this now. Have it done. There we are. There we are. That might pull things forward a little bit first. In there you buy it. That's the job. That'll make all the difference now. It's only a little bit, but not going to go tighten them up all the way either. You never know, it might be able to pull that out again, put even a thicker one in. That should give us a bit extra wiggle room. We'll tension up things a little bit here again. See what's going on. See if we improved. We can improve it. Don't expect it to be 100%, but you know yourselves, you want it to at least look right. Okay. Yeah, you'd think this is an awful easy job. It actually is, but it's when you start trying to get things actually straight, that's when you run into the issues. Okay, that's when you run into the issues. Small issues, but there's a bit of wiggle in it. A bit of wiggle in it, surely. But we're nearly there, I'd say. It's not looking too bad. Okay. Yeah, it's not looking too bad. You sometimes can see these being so far off, like they're pulling the whole belt backwards or they're pushing it forward. And if you just look just at the drive pulley there, keep him in your eye and look up, and then look up again, you can just see the corner of the water pump matching up fairly well with the dynamo, and you'll just see the line there of the crankshaft there. So that looks fairly good to me. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to tighten up that front bolt. It has to be done anyway, but I'm going to tighten up everything well so that tightening the front bolt shouldn't affect things too much. One last look here at the angle of the pulley. In other words, is it too twisted or straight? Yeah. See what we'll do for the crack. So we get a spare element for the front to see. This is just purely for the fun of it now, because I would imagine this should be fairly flat. Okay, we're just off. This is just out of interest. Now I know things like tire pressures and, you know, all of that crack. This is just for the fun of it, that's all. So I want to be very fussy probably. Just let it out a touch. For the crack now, we'll do this. For the crack. See if we can improve it. There's a tiny bit of adjustment on that. We'll just... Yeah. Just for the crack. I'll bring you with me just in case you think I'm lying. Is there... Yeah. Isn't that a lot better? You want to be very fussy. Mind you, as I said, the tractor probably isn't fully level anyway. You know, when you think of it, it's probably not. It's not anyway, but probably not too bad. But look, just for the interest of it now, probably won't be able to get a reading on that because it's not exactly what you call, the castings aren't perfect to each other, but it is still fairly flat there. It's just as hard to, yeah, and there as well, yeah. Out of interest, yeah. But anyway, we just wanted to see if we could work it. So now what we'll do is we'll tighten up the front bolt in the time machine. That can probably affect things a little bit. I'll give them a nip. Just as much as it needs to be. Actually turn the engine over, I'm happy with that. Now, couldn't do that before. And we'll see that just affect things anyway. So the only reason why I wanted to set that to level was to see if it changed anything. And it did. Change it a little bit. That little bastard, yeah. Pulled it. Which you'd expect it to do, even with the bloody washer behind it. Yeah, a thicker washer is needed, but we might be able to just drag it back down on here. But you can see it now in the bloody pulley. So like, these are the things that if you didn't, you know, spend a bit of time doing it, it would probably be sound. You probably wouldn't hear any difference, it would still charge, but I can guarantee you your bearings and your bushings would not last as long. So there's a bit of adjustment in that. So we'll just lift that back up to just a touch and tighten it as well. We'll see, does that just bring it back into line? Because I've seen these pulleys make shit of a belt right before your eyes as soon as you start them up. It's after dragging it out, would you believe? That front bolt now is after dragging it out an awful lot. Isn't that a good one? So for the crack, I'm going to loosen that front one again and do the same thing, because that is actually, when you think of it, when you actually put that into, you know, you take into consideration how much it's punted. You'd be surprised what that would do to a belt. Okay, so it needs to come up with the back. So it is, I'd say it's a good one. So there is the adjustment on it there, thankfully. But I think a lot of it goes out of it when you start arsing with that bloody front bolt. So it's back in line there. So I suppose one way out of it is to put a thicker washer behind the bracket on the front, and it'll stop it being pulled in so far. And it just goes to show. Goes to show. Yeah, now we're done. We're back. We're back. So that's good. This fan belt is strictly for if you're stuck purposes. My radiator Toshi Denta, it's done now, and good enough compression on the door, I can tell you. Yeah, that is good. How's the tension felt? I know some in the workshop manual it says to only be able to push it in like, was it half an inch? I'm not going to be going measuring what half an inch is in. The way I look at it is, don't have it too tight. Have it too loose over too tight, and you'll know if it's slipping. So there you go, a long-winded video. Definitely long-winded, but had we just went and just changed the bloody thing, you know, we'd have ended up with, I've seen it before, literally throwing bits off the belt. I don't really know how good this pulley is. They are meant to be fairly, how will I put it? They're meant to be fairly meaty. This was a new one I bought, but it's way too narrow. So I don't know, and this casting here isn't right. It's meant to come out further, so bought it online. Picture looked different and it landed, so yeah, it'll do something. They're all standard kind of size there and Woodruff key, but it's even narrower than this belt, I'd say, like. So even narrower, I'd say. No, it actually, yeah, it is, it's narrower, yeah. So that's alright. It would work with it though, but what's the point of that when the rest of the drive belts are wider? So this will be going over to my other fan belts here. I think that came off my 20 diesel, and that is even 17. There's no way that's 17 bloody, unless it's after 8 in it. It's narrower than the bloody one that came off the gold belly. So that was on the diesel, and that made shit of dynamo. So there we go. Long-winded, as I said, but it goes to show the adjustments that you can make in your bolts and in your two underneath here, them two there, and then of course the last one then is that little bio there on the front. So as I said, they weren't frightened of putting in the material in this bracket. It's massively overkill for a dynamo bracket. Like, it's a serious lump of metal, like, compared to the little square ones that were on the diesel. They were only a tiny little thing, you know. But yeah, so that's that. We've tidied up this, put in the bolt from the front. That's the way I think it's meant to be, and it looks right. I don't like treads facing towards here. I don't think it looks right. So longer bolt, a little spacer, a washer in behind him there in this bracket, so that we're not pulling things out of kilter altogether. And I think they are the kind of things that you kind of need to do. It's a little bit getting a bit wide there, so if we have to one of the days take it off, put it into the vise, just give it a little squares back close. We have, if it causes any bother. I can't see it causing any bother, but if we just want to be fussy, something knows that what caused that. Was it filed that way or something? I don't know, but it was on this tractor for a long time, so we'll leave it. I noticed there as well, I put a new seal in this governor rod here, and a very expensive seal actually, for considering all it is. It was like serious money, and it isn't actually sealing. I noticed that's a bit wet there. It's alright. The man says it's self-lubricating. Another reason why I think my governor was never really working was this lad here, and this goes into, there's a slot around the end of the governor rod, and this is locating kind of a screw, if you want to call it that, and I had to put this little space around it there, because if you were to tighten it in fully, it was catching the governor rod and stopping it turning. So yeah, so yeah, I don't want to be over tightening that in. So I didn't see that lately, because this pipe has recovered. But now that I've actually see it there, I can see it's actually nearly catching there. It's kind of getting tight. So what I do is I go around here. I think what you have to do is give it throttle first, and then you can push it back and just make sure that it's not too tight. I was getting a little bit close there with the fan belt, but we're clearing it. Yeah, so I just want to make sure that that's not getting caught, that it's moving easy enough. And it is on a spring there. I think I fitted that spring. Just want to make sure, because it does get tight and then it goes loose again, so I want to make sure it's not stopping the governor from working, because as one thing I always say about this tractor, when I can never get the governor to work properly on it. So just bring it in. It goes tight there and then it goes loose again, so we'll just try and find it there where it's kind of wiggling a bit and make sure it's okay. Sound. So that's it. We're going to leave it there. Fan belt, Ferguson 20, 35, all the same. It's a lot easier with the radiator off if you want to start doing what I did there. And standing here now and looking at everything lining up, it looks a lot better. So that's how I do it anyway.